On the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. This dude continues to turn the heat and temperature up. They keep talking about how we need to bring the rhetoric down. We need to stop being so divisive. He is the most divisive dude that's out there. He is ramping up the rhetoric along with the deep state media. This is what they're trying to do. We are kicking their ass right now, by the way, and we have been extraordinarily successful in maintaining the status quo, if you will, considering what they are trying to do. They're losing badly. Rumor on the street is they're very much running out of money. Their whole world's closing in around them. They can literally see their consciousness leaving. This is powerful times. We've got a lot going on. I don't want to waste a lot of time. I've definitely got like an 8-minute segment of just Jesse Waters. I got a bunch of good stuff. Wanted to start with a couple good videos here that I think just kind of set the mood, set the pace, kind of help us all understand how America is growing up. America is evolving, and we are uniting for the first time in quite a while. It's pretty powerful.
There were about 3,700 free blacks who owned 12,000 slaves, black slaves. The question is, do the descendants of those free blacks who owned black slaves, do they pay? Blacks really benefited more the first 100 years after slavery than we have in the last 50 years. I was born in 1937 during the Depression. Everyone in my small, low-income black community, 98% of the households had a man and a woman raising children. Elderly people could walk safely in that community without fear of being assaulted by their grandchildren. Never heard a gunfire during that time. Never heard of a child being shot to death in the crib. But there are 50 children today who have been shot and killed in our cities. You're talking about remedies. We've got to look beyond saying that every solution has to have a winner and a loser, that blacks can only benefit if whites lose. We have to be defined more than just victims of oppression. There are about
And we do. We have unquestionably got to stop falling into these little categories that so many people do. Not just blacks, not just whites, not just whatevers, right? Everybody under the sun. Here's something that's kind of in the same vein, which I think is pretty funny, but it really digs into the fact that it's the left that likes to give everybody labels, and we need to get over those times.
I also don't say African Americans. I find it cumbersome and confusing. Which part of Africa are we talking about? Egypt? Egypt is in Africa, but Egyptians aren't black. They're like the people in India. They're dark brown white people. But they're Africans. So why wouldn't an Egyptian citizen who becomes an Egyptian who becomes a U.S. citizen be called an African American? The same would apply to South Africa. Suppose a white racist from South Africa becomes an American citizen. Couldn't he call himself an African American? If for no other reason than just to bother black people. And what about a black person born in South Africa who becomes an American citizen? Is he an African American or is he a South African American? Or is he simply a South African American African American? You know, it's just so much more tedious liberal labeling. Liberals should be taught that labels divide people, and I think we could probably do with fewer labels, not more.
Amen. 100% agree. Now, just to kind of get things rolling, got some major breaking news today. A bunch, actually. Senator Bob Menendez is guilty. He is guilty. He could very well see the inside of a jail cell. Bob Menendez, Democrat Senator Bob Menendez is guilty. Chuck Schumer put this out. In light of this guilty verdict, Senator Menendez must now do what is right for his constituents, the Senate, and our country, and resign. This is going to affect the balance of power, and I've been talking about this for quite the while. Interesting how we might be losing a Democrat senator, which might actually make the Republicans the majority. Wouldn't that be strange if just for a short period of time we had a small majority in the Senate as well? A lot going on with Joe Biden raising the temperature. We're going to start here with the mental acuity has been pretty damn good in defending his decision to stay in the race, but a lot of people are not as comfortable about this as Joe Biden seems to be. All said, this is playing out very, very poorly for Biden.
You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that.
I didn't say crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing.
Just to say real quick, he thought he meant to say crosshairs. He meant to say crosshairs and said bullseye, and then goes on to explain. I'm going to let him finish about why crosshairs was what he meant. That's even worse.
Your opponent, an existential threat. On a call a week ago, you said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that.
I didn't say
words
crosshairs.
matter.
I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him.
Sorry, I thought I had the longer segment here, and that's the one I was meaning to point at. And we'll see if I can skip ahead a little bit on this because he does cover that part over. But I wanted to carry the part after it.
The conversation this has started.
Talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing. Focus on his policies. Focus on the number of lies he told in the debate. Focus. I mean, there's a whole range of things that, look, I'm not the guy that said, I want to be a dictator on day one. I'm not the guy that refused to accept the outcome of the election. I'm not the guy who said that won't accept the outcome of this election automatically. You can't only love your country when you win. And so the focus was on what he's saying and, I mean, the idea.
But have you taken a step back and done a little soul searching on things that you may have said that could incite people who are not balanced?
Well, I don't think, look, how do you talk about the threat to democracy, which is real, when a president says things like he says? Do you just not say anything because it may incite somebody? Look, I've not engaged in that rhetoric. Now, my opponent is engaged in that rhetoric. He talks about there'll be a bloodbath if he loses, talking about how he's going to forgive all the, actually, I guess, suspend the sentences of all those who were arrested and sentenced to go to jail because of what happened in the Capitol. I'm not out there making fun of, like, remember the picture of Donald Trump when Nancy Pelosi's husband was hit with a hammer, joking about it?
Yeah, Donald Trump wasn't. Maybe Trump supporters were. Again, Biden ramping up all of the rhetoric, the anger, the stuff to try to get people fired up to do things. I mean, oh, by the way, teasing it. It's going to be a little bit down the road here, but I think I found the missing smoking gun. It came upon us. We talked about the MK Ultra of the dude that did the shooting, right? The shooter, and if someone had come out and said he didn't have a psychologist in his life, well, come to find out, that's not true. Oh, I've got some breaking news on that as well. Fantastic stuff. All said, Biden, days after the assassination attempt on President Trump, calls him a real danger to the country still.
You know, Donald Trump, I think, is, I said from the beginning when I ran in 2020, that he's a real danger to the country, to a democracy.
So that doesn't make other people want to go out and do violent things? That's so strange. Biden's also asked about his initial reaction to the attempted assassination of President Trump. Of course, he gets back into the very fine people hoax. Again, he's doing everything he can to ramp up the temperature.
You were in Delaware when this happened. What was your first reaction?
My first reaction was, my God, look, there's so much violence now, the way we talk about it. I mean, the whole notion that there is this, there's no place at all for violence in politics in America. None. Zero. And we've reached a point where it's become too commonplace, not assassinations, but to talk about it. For example, you know, the January 6th, the attack on the Capitol. Lester, I got in this race early on in 2020 for the 2020 race. I wasn't going to run again because I lost my son. I didn't feel, and until I watched what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. Those folks coming out of the woods with torches, carrying swastikas, singing the same Nazi bile that was accompanied by this Ku Klux Klan, and a young woman was killed. And I was a bystander. And the president, then president, was asked, what do you think? He said, they're very fine people on both sides. Not fine people on both sides. No excuse, zero.
That quote has been so misrepresented multiple times. When you play the entire content of what Trump said, he didn't say it like that. He said there's fine people on both sides, but he talked about when it comes to the racist and the white supremacists, he goes, those people are abhorrible, or he said whatever the case was. He was very specific about putting them down. But they ignore that. They just talk about the good sides. What he was trying to say was a uniting comment, which is absurd to somebody like Joe Biden, but he was trying to unite. There's fine people on both sides of the fence, he was saying, and then talked about specifically the white supremacists and everything else. Didn't like them so much. Biden's been on another interview with somebody. He says, I asked to show the younger generation that we can coexist. What's something Trump would do well if he wins? This is a great answer, and the look in his face is priceless.
I asked this question in an effort to show the younger generation that we have to coexist. So in the event that former President Trump wins this election, what is something that you feel he will do well?
I'm not being facetious. I can't think of a single thing. I'm serious. Think of what his what his objective is. It is totally anti-democratic. He says that he wants to be a dictator on day one. He means it. He says he will not recognize the outcome of the next election.
Again, they so misquote him. It's just insane. And that's my point, was just ramping up the rhetoric, right? That's exactly what he's doing. Now, here's more of this. Did you rewatch the debate? I think the way this is a different interview, but the way this one played out was very interesting. Let's listen to this.
I listened to them.
In your last TV interview, you were asked if you had watched the debate, and your answer was, I don't think so, no. Have you since seen it?
I've seen pieces of it. I've not watched the whole debate.
And the reason I ask, because I guess the question is, are you all on the same page? Are you seeing what they saw, which was moments of, frankly, that appeared to be, you appeared to be confused?
Lester, look, why don't you guys ever talk about the 28 lies he told? Where are you on this? Why didn't the press ever talk about that? 28 times it's confirmed he lied in that debate. I had a bad night. I wasn't feeling well at all. And I had been, without it making it, I screwed up. But
I just asked the question because the idea that you may or may not have seen what some of these other folks have seen, you're not on the same...
I'd have to see, I was there. I'd have to see it, I was there. And by the way, seriously, you won't answer the question, but why didn't the press talk about all the lies he told?
Well,
I haven't heard anything about that.
We have reported many of the issues that came up during that debate.
No, you haven't.
We'll provide you with them.
God love you.
Okay.
And oddly, the funny thing is, too, is the media hasn't really talked about all the lies that Joe keeps telling, his misrepresentations of words Trump has said, but taking them completely out of context and then claiming he's saying them in a different way. That's actually slanderous is what that is. It's not legal, probably, but I don't know, for a campaign, it'd probably never go before a judge. Speaking of which, we got news around that as well. Biden in 2020, this is just good. 2 straight lies in a row. Now, again, they aren't really technically lies, probably because he's inept. His mind doesn't work. So he's just saying stupid stuff or gaffing, or if he's okay, Democrats, maybe he's just lying then. I'm not sure which it is. I'm going to let them fall on that sword, or which sword they can choose. It's up to them.
But I didn't plan on running because in 2020, when Barack asked me to be vice president, I joined him, which is a great honor. And but after that, I became a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm.
So he's never been a professor at the Pennsylvania, never once. If he might have gotten an honorary degree or something, but that doesn't mean anything, and he's never been a professor. And he obviously wasn't vice president in 2020. Okay, so I don't know if that's just him being stupid, or if that's him telling a lie. I'll let you guys figure that one out yourselves. Town Hall put this out. Does Biden not know who the director of the Secret Service is? They asked him, NBC, is it acceptable that you still have not heard, at least publicly, from the Secret Service director? And Biden says, oh, I've heard from him. It's a girl, Kimberly Cheadle. She's a girl. She doesn't even have male pronouns or anything like that. The Biden people are not the only ones that are pushing these narratives that are just outright wrong. I don't want to, I'll play it, what the hell. Here's CNN straight up saying they should turn the fire on Donald Trump. Pretty sure that's what they did. They fired more than 7 times, I think.
He has said many, many times, after having been questioned many times about this, that he's not stepping down and he's going to be the nominee. So at some point, Democrats have to decide that they want to try to win this election and turn their fire on Donald Trump. I think there is, I shouldn't have said turn their fire. I apologize. That was not the phrase that I meant. They need to turn their focus on Donald Trump.
Cheers for the fact that she at least caught herself. But again, these words are stuck in their minds, right? Especially after something as catastrophic as what happened. On Saturday, the head of Ukraine's military intelligence claimed that there had been several attempts at assassinating Russian President Vladimir Putin. There have been attempts to assassinate, but as you can see, they have been unsuccessful so far, said someone from Ukraine. Obviously, the deep state is very, 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 very concerned about Putin still being active and Trump assuming responsibility for this great nation. With those two things at work, and the fact that he already gets along with Kim Jong-un, the fact that he's already made great inroads in relationships with Xi Jinping, they're so scared because the deep state knows the Ukraine war's over, that their game is over, done. And it seems as though Israel's winding down. I haven't heard as much noise going on around a lot of that stuff lately either. So the deep state is running out of time in a big way. Their desperation is beyond reproach right now. Obviously, they're willing to shoot President Trump. FBI and DHS warn of possible retaliation for the attack on Trump. Again, more rhetoric. U.S. authorities are concerned about the possible attacks and retaliation to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. The FBI and Department of Homeland Security said Monday in a rare joint intelligence bulletin. Violent extremists or others may attempt to follow on or retaliatory acts of violence. They want so desperately a civil war, and we're not giving it to them, are we? Because we see what they're doing. And frankly, we're all Americans. We may have some Americans that hate us right now. Doesn't mean us hating them back and trying to do harm on them is going to ever benefit anything. In fact, most cases you can just ignore them. Sure, there's a few of them that are definitely dangerous. We need to keep our head in a swivel. You should always pay attention to what's going on around you. Always. Jack Black posted this. I don't know. I think I shared the video yesterday of his little Coke dude in the what do they call it? Tenacious D. The other dude that's in there said really messed up stuff. Like next time, don't miss, when he was praying to the robot or whatever the shit he was doing. Well, Jack Black actually, I think, responded well to this. I'm impressed, actually, because I know Jack Black's probably not a Trump fan. But he came out and said, I was blindsided by what was said at the show on Sunday. I would never condone hate speech or encourage political violence in any form. After much reflection, I no longer feel it is appropriate to continue the Tenacious D tour, and all future creative plans are on hold. I am grateful to the fans for their support and understanding. Looks like we're having a small breakup until someone maybe comes out and says they were wrong for saying what they said. I don't know. We'll see how it continues to play out. Tucker Carlson talking about Trump's bravery and how this is really just setting Trump's presidency into stone, almost like another face on Mount Rushmore, which there is room for one more face. How much would that piss some people off?
Let's be honest. Trump just won. He won. Not only did he survive an assassination attempt, he stood up without knowing whether there were other shooters there. He stood up and faced the crowd and raised his hand and said, fight, fight, fight. That's it. You do that, you win. And by the way, I happen to notice that the crowd, which also didn't know whether there were other shooters, who watched Trump get shot in the face, They did not bolt. It wasn't like a fire in a theater, actually. They sat there, they watched him intently, and when he stood up, they applauded him, and many cried. Why is that? Because a brave leader gives his people heart. That's why. That's exactly why. So with that, Trump became president. I bet my house on it. And he defeated the Democrats. And on merit, by the way, not through the usual political scheming, I'll trade you a Senate seat for your vote. No. He did it by being a man in a nation of people who weren't quite, just being honest, okay? He acted like a man, the kind of man I respect, and I think every person feels this way, every person, no matter what you think of Trump. Because leadership isn't actually all about, the way you talk. It's about how brave you are. That's what people want. They want a brave leader.
Yeah, they big time want a brave leader. Big time. Here's Senator Tim Scott talking about how his views of what happened when Trump was shot, how he feels this was.
If you didn't believe in miracles before Saturday, you better be believing right now. Thank God Almighty that we live in a country that still believes in the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and the Omega. And our God still saves, he still delivers, and he still sets free. Because on Saturday, the devil came to Pennsylvania holding a rifle, but an American lion got back up on his feet and he roared. Oh yeah, he roared.
Do you guys think he practiced that line? He roared? Or do you think that just came out with emotion? I don't know. It was a beautiful speech. I'm not criticizing. I'm just someone that deals with these kinds of things every once in a while. And it's like, yeah, you kind of got to walk through a speech, right? I don't know. I'm curious how he pulled that one off. Elon Musk is pissing off the left even further in a great, fantastic kind of way. He has said he is committing around $45 million a month to the new pro-Trump super PAC. $45 million a month to help Trump win. Oh, that's pissing some people off. This guy named AJ posted this for 4 points. So Democrats are pissed that Elon is voting Republican. They should remember that. 1, Biden called Mary Barra the leader in EVs while barely selling any EVs. 2, Biden's administration didn't allow Tesla to attend the EV summit in the White House. 3, Biden administration nearly pushed through the EV tax credit, excluding all non-unionized EV makers like Tesla. And 4, Biden called publicly to look into Elon's activity, kicking off an avalanche of frivolous investigations. I am sure I forgot something. My point, how can the Democrats possibly expect Elon to vote Democrat after all this shit that he's been doing? And Elon Musk responded back and he says, I try not to start fights, but I do finish them. And he is definitely fighting with us. Here's another powerful statement from somebody that has changed their heart and their mind. And it's a beautiful time right now. It's also reminiscent of who our vice president is, and we'll get to that as well. And I'm glad we talked about JD, and he was definitely one of the possibilities because of that. I thought maybe they'd go Ben Carson. I was hoping anyways. But I like where we went, and we've got things to talk about that. But JD is actually a lot like this lady, Stephanie Tyler. Not sure if she's related to Steven, but whatever. Graduated in 2012 with a degree in women's studies. Cried in 2016 when Trump got elected. Lost touch with the Dems somewhere around Me Too. Discovered entrepreneurship. Updated my voting registration in 2018, but didn't tell anyone. Told myself I was a single issue voting centrist. The last 6 to 12 months, I've believed I was going to abstain from voting in the upcoming election because the options are equally terrible. But watching Trump survive an assassination attempt and act like a total fucking savage just shifted me into some strange patriotic gear that my fancy feminism, white men, bad infected brain never showed me. Like, the dude took a bullet and stood up with blood dripping down from his face and rallied a fucking crowd while fist pumping and yelling, fight. Sorry, but I'm voting for that. And saying it out loud feels so freeing. 2012, Stephanie would be so pissed, but that's okay because 2012, Stephanie didn't know shit. A lot of people are waking up to where we are. And one other major awakening is the economy. We haven't seen the worst of things. There's an expectation of a black swan event. I wouldn't wait long, guys. The election's coming soon. There's a high probability that some things are going to take a big giant shite here very soon prior. You don't want to be standing on your back foot when this happens. Get out in front of this. Figure out who it is. You've got your 401k and your IRA. Get that paperwork. If it's Fidelity, if it's whoever, get a hold of it now. Reach out to my good friends at Goldco. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system. Right now, gold is up significantly in its purchasing power too. Not just up in price, which it is. That's why another reason why you don't want to wait longer. You don't want to wait longer because prices are going up. 2, value of the dollar's going down because of inflation. And 3, the value of the stocks are kind of at an all-time ballooned high. And many say this balloon has been extended about 50% longer than a typical balloon goes. We are in a tough place. And when this balloon pops, it's probably going to be a little messy. Is it going to destroy us? No. Is it going to destroy a lot of people's wealth on paper? Yes. Is that wealth going to come back? Don't know. But I'll tell you this much. If you take your wealth that you have right now, that you've already got this good, decent number, and get the frick out now, when this collapse happens, you're going to be like, I'm glad I did what I did. And you'll still be riding high because the price of gold and silver will still be going up. This is a smart move to protect your wealth. That's all you're doing. Right now, it's sitting 45% above purchasing power. Stocks are down. Houses are down. The dollar is down. Other currencies are down in purchasing power because of inflation. Gold and Bitcoin aren't. They're up. Gold is the way to go. It's easy. You can get out tax-free and penalty-free from their system. There's no way to incorporate Bitcoin into that unless you sell off and you take a bunch of hits. Tax-free, penalty-free, you transition into something that is going to start moving upward for you, and you will see it. People that have already gotten on board, I've been doing these ads for a couple of years now, and there's people that have already gotten on board, and they're sitting pretty right now. They got in when gold was back around 17-something. It's up over $2,300 right now. It's not going down. And silver is expected to do a multiple. If you're sitting on a bunch of cash and savings, you can get up to $8,000 of that free silver. That silver that's got a multiple built into it. We don't know what the exact multiple works out to, but it hasn't hit yet. drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system. Don't wait much longer because we don't know what's going to happen, but we do see the world getting crazier. They literally tried to shoot the guy. What happens next? They're trying to avoid what happens next because it looks bad on them and it will destroy them. Gold will take down the Fed. Have your wealth in precious metals. drslikesgold.com. It's the best chance you're going to get to carry over what you've got right now. If you don't, it's your loss. It's okay. We'll all be fine in the end. But a bunch of you guys are smart, and you're taking it with you. And we all can, if we choose to. You just have to make the tough choice. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. All right, got a bunch of stuff with Trump. The rally, him showing up. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. So here's President Trump's son, Eric Trump, pledged the Florida delegates to his father. This was a huge moment for him. I kind of didn't want to play it, not because it didn't matter, but, you know, of course he's proud to be able to do this. But this is a pretty cool thing that he got to do, and I'm very grateful that after everything the Trumps have been through, they're coming together. We're all coming together. All of us are coming together.
Florida. His new home in recent years, and this will be a key moment here at this convention. Let's listen.
Florida. 125 delegates.
Madam Secretary and everybody in this great city. On behalf of our entire family and on behalf of the 125 delegates in the unbelievable state of Florida, we hereby nominate every single one of them for the greatest president that's ever lived, and that's Donald J. Trump. Hereby declaring him the Republican nominee for president of the United States of America.
Such a great moment of solidarity, and of course with the crowd chanting Trump.
Eric Trump.
Such a powerful moment. Such a great moment as a child to be able to do this for your father. It's a very powerful moment. Now here's an interesting moment where it seems that our good friend here is, kind of also starting to realize that Trump's VP pick might actually be a better choice than they want. They're starting to realize they're in a bad place and they're running out of time.
As a running mate for Donald Trump, it is unavoidable to note that his record of remarks about Trump is one that I think could reasonably described
Oh, yeah, I forgot. This dude, he's J.D. Vance. So I didn't preface this properly. J.D. Vance was anti-Trump, majorly anti-Trump. And what I think is so powerful about this, because some of this is going to be disturbing, and Rachel Madcow was kind of making the point, and that's what she was trying to do. But ultimately what this does is this speaks to the myriad of people out there. This speaks to all the people out there, like Stephanie Taylor, that don't want to be in that party anymore. And they're realizing, I'm not the only one that hated Trump, but I don't think he's like the worst choice anymore. So Rachel Madcow is going to show us all these great examples of J.D. Vance hating on Trump. And look who just got chosen as the vice president. For good reason, too.
Will be described as rich.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people, who is a total fraud.
Like you said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
So, as a conservative who thinks that Trump does not have the answers and isn't qualified to be president, what are you going to do this election, if you don't mind saying?
My current plan is to vote either third party, or as I joke to my wife, I might write in my dog, because that's about as good as it seems. But, you know, I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. Ultimately, I think I'll probably vote third party. I might vote for this new guy who I really like, Evan McMullin, who I actually met the other day. But I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
Now, I'm going to say, obviously, he's grown up a bunch. Obviously, he has evolved a bunch, and he hasn't been there that long. I think it's only been, 2 years, 4 years, something like that. But he's finally manned up enough to be able to actually grow a beard. Looks pretty sharp right now, actually, doesn't he? Distinguished. I like that. I don't know. I didn't really give a crap about the vice president thing. I still don't, basically, but I like who they chose. I intentionally never mentioned it during the media, the news, because I didn't care. And I didn't think it mattered, frankly. I knew a lot of you guys probably cared, but the speculation was all that everybody was doing. So I was like, who cares? Trump's going to choose who Trump's going to choose. Us speculating about it? Who gives a crap? So here is when they announce the next vice president of the United States. This is kind of cool. Check his wife. His wife is a little bit out of her element, you can tell. But she'll figure it out. She'll get there. So there's the point where she was trying to grab onto his hand, onto his arm. The dude's just like, he was rocking and rolling. The way he took that selfie too, like a champ. Oh, dude, I couldn't do it. Maybe I could learn one day, but I couldn't do it. Your next vice president, J.D. Vance. This is a cool little, kind of promo thing they put together for him. I like. Check it out.
Support the president, volunteer for him, donate for him, and please, for the love of God, vote for him in November.
Donald Trump was a success. The results were good, and we could have a growing economy and a peaceful world if we just bring back Donald Trump for round two.
Trump's presidency was successful
Biden's has been a disaster. The American people get an opportunity to correct this in November, and I think we have to do everything we can to encourage them to make that correction. The country really needs it, and I think we really need to reelect Donald Trump.
I am proud that I have been an ally of Donald Trump's in Washington, D.C. I'm proud of the fact that I haven't tuck-tailed and run like so many politicians have.
Biden has been a failure, and when Donald Trump was a president, he was a success.
The only way for us to fight back successfully is to elect Donald Trump in November.
Make America great again. Let's go and show them.
And as many are saying that J.D. Vance is not just being elected as the next vice president, he's being elected as the individual to carry this MAGA party to the next level, to carry it for another, as they said, another generation or another decade. He is the man that's supposed to carry this forward, and I think he will. I think he will. And I think the fact that he's young is kind of what really makes him better than Ben Carson to a large extent. Having a younger guy, we need someone that's younger, not somebody that's already reasonably old. It's just a lot to put on them. Donald Trump had a double truth that he put out. After lengthy deliberation and thought, and considering the tremendous talents of many others, I've decided that the person best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance of the great state of Ohio. I think Ohio is a big part of this too. Ohio, Wisconsin, and the fact that Florida's in there. It's like a way to lock in some of these states and make them so proud that their guy is there. This is a big deal. So that was, I think, also a big factor. I'm sure there's many factors, many of which I'm probably totally ignorant of, but these are definitely some of them. J.D. honorably served our country in the Marine Corps, graduated from Ohio State University in 2 years, summa cum laude, and is a Yale Law School graduate, where he was editor of the Yale Law Journal and president of the Yale Law Veterans Association. J.D.'s book, Hillbilly Elegy, it became a major bestseller and movie as it championed the hardworking men and women of our country. J.D. has had a very successful business career in technology and finance, and now during the campaign will be strongly focused on the people he fought so brilliantly for, the American workers and farmers in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota, and far beyond. As Vice President, J.D. will continue to fight for our Constitution, stand with our troops, and will do everything he can to help me make America great again. Congratulations to Senator J.D. Vance, his wife, Usha, who also graduated from Yale Law School, and their 3 beautiful children. MAGA 2024. Powerful stuff. Now, Trump, visibly emotional when he comes out on stage. This was a big moment, and you will feel not just the emotion of the people in the room, not just the emotion of his family, or myself right now, but the emotion of himself. You can see it. You can see him catch himself. This is, to me, quite possibly one of the most beautiful pieces of video of Trump being real that I've ever seen.
The next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today. Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. Now don't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. Cause there ain't no doubt I love you. President of the United States. He is here tonight to show his courage, his defiance against somebody who tried to kill him. You will not take this man down. He has the courage, the strength, and he will be the next president of the United States. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea. Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th President of the United States and soon to be the 47th President of the United States, please welcome Donald J. Trump. Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Looks like they had to actually trim his hair a little bit on that one side, doesn't it? Anyways, one thing that's one of the hardest things to do is to talk when you are crying a little bit. And one of the other hard things to do, it's even harder than talking, it's singing. Holy crap. You get one of those emotional songs going. Jeez, and that was a mixture of all the above. Wow. Good job to everybody. Here's the crowd yelling, fight, fight, fight. This is how America feels right now, is Brett Burr and her stupid friend. But what they're talking about here for the 11 seconds or sextons is still legit.
A pretty amazing scene there as the 45th president, hoping to be the 47th president of the United States.
Fight is what they're
walking in. And there you see the first time we...
That's right. Fight. It's what we're doing. It's what we are. It's who we are as Americans. Rapper and model Amber Rose takes to the stage to explain her transitioning.
The first person I knew who supported Donald Trump was my father. I was shocked. My entire family is racially diverse, and I believed the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research. I watched all the rallies, and I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters. I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love. And that's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong.
These are extremely powerful moments, not just for us, because they are, at least for me, but for everybody else. Now, Amber Rose is now trending very high. Say what you will about her, but she has over 24.3 million followers on Instagram and 3.6 million followers on X. Now, this person makes assumptions that the overwhelming majority of these people are not Republicans. I don't know. I mean, maybe. On Instagram, yes, probably. But I wonder on X. But all said, I think she's got a lot of new fans now for sure. But certainly her older fans are like, well, the original fans, if you will. The OGs, not necessarily older, if you will, but the original fans, they're seeing this too. Donald Trump Jr. posted this: Biden is stuck with the worst VP in the history of our nation. President Trump has one of the most dynamic young leaders in the country with J.D. Vance 1. We also have incredible patriots like Governor Doug Burgum and Senator Mark Rubio and countless others who will work their tails off to get my father elected this November. Our party has never been more unified. This is powerful. I don't know if you guys realize what's happening. This is Trump's airplane, and what they're painting on Trump's airplane underneath Trump is Vance. Yeah, Trump and Vance sitting right under it. That is extraordinary. Punchbowl, J.D. Vance wasn't just tapped by Donald Trump to be his running mate. Vance was handpicked to lead Trump's MAGA movement for generations, or a generation, and to put another nail in the coffin of the Republican Party's old guard. And big time, what we need to do. And here's an example of that. And Tucker Carlson was calling it out, who you noticed was sitting next to Trump. Lindsey Graham is a liar. No one lobbied harder against J.D. Vance than he did, and in the sleaziest, most vicious way. He was doing it this morning. This is why everyone hates Washington, because people like Lindsey Graham are happy to tie right to your face, smiling as they plot your destruction. It's disgusting. Yeah, Lindsey Graham is a big old giant pile of shit. And if it ever comes down to me getting the opportunity to speak poorly of him, I will jump on the opportunity. Again, I don't give a shit what letter you have next to your name. I care what you're doing for this country. You can be a D and still fit on this side of the fence, though you should probably change to an I. It makes it a lot easier. Republicans, just because they got an R, you got a bunch of crap that we got to filter out. Texas, you know what I mean. Come on now. You guys totally know what I mean. I think Ohio, you guys have some of those problems going on too. Where else we got some of these? We got other states. I mean, here our whole we're getting there. MAGA's becoming cool again. That's what's happening, right? Make MAGA cool again. What was that? Whatever. I'd have to work that out. There's a C in there. I didn't make that noise. Doesn't matter. Vincent Oshana put this out. Joe Biden posts, like almost immediately after the news breaks about J.D. Vance. He goes, here's the deal about J.D. Vance. He talks a big game about working people, but now he and Trump want to raise taxes on middle-class families while pushing more tax cuts for the rich. People that get tips are one of the people that Trump was talking about giving tax cuts to. Huge tax cuts, by the way. That is your lower and middle class people. And yeah, he's also going to give some tax cuts to people that are in the higher echelons from there as well. Like everybody is going to get some tax cuts. Joe Biden, once again, lying. And of course, Vincent Oshana posts something that's hilarious. He goes, it's funny. He responded faster to his VP pick than his assassination attempt. And that's how big a douchehole he is. Chanel Rion put this out. Can you imagine what the debate between Vance and Harris will look like? Many coconuts will be falling from the tree, as Cohen said. But we do have confirmation they supposedly are going to be debating. Kamala Harris gave him a little phony-doney, little ringy-dingy, and he didn't answer because he had better things to do than talk to her stupid ass. But she did say within the message congratulating him that, hey, it'd be nice to meet you for a debate. J.D. Vance is probably going to destroy her. She's been destroyed before. Tulsi Gabbard did an amazing job. Well done, sweetheart. I kind of wanted to see you as a VP, but yeah, you probably are too young. But it would be fun to see you involved in the administration somehow. That would be fantastic. Schiff warned of wipeout for Democrats if Biden remains in the race. So Schiff is now crossing the lines. And we've got this in a blow to Biden. The Teamsters have considered no endorsement in 2024 race, meaning the Teamsters are not going to Biden. Just because you're the Democrat guy, we're not going with you. They're not choosing Trump, which is kind of a mistake. That'll probably change in time. But for right now, they're not going with Biden. That's a huge blow. Here's Gayle King. She is hardcore lefty on the CBS Morning News. Well, maybe not hardcore. I feel like she's kind of one of the more fair ones on their side of the fence. Still extreme left. Don't get me wrong. Says stuff all the time that would probably drive me insane. And I don't know. I was staring at her boobs when I said all that. So maybe it's not true. Whatever the case is, here's an interesting example of her saying some stuff that makes sense for once.
Tony, I have to say, I was watching it at home last night. I felt the emotion sitting in my bedroom coming through the TV screen. I can't imagine what it was like on the floor. Tell us, what was it like?
Yeah, Gail, it was really palpable. And I'll tell you what happened. I had climbed into the stands for my own better view of the moment, anticipating it. And I was in the box directly next to the president's. And it was electric there for the Trump faithful, more like a pop concert than a presidential campaign. And the president was there with that bandage on his right ear, which signaled to the crowd just how close they had come to losing him entirely. People were notably hushed at the first sight of the former president, then cheering, then chanting, including "fight, fight," the words that Trump himself seemed to say moments after he was wounded on Saturday.
So boobs or not, she's making sense, right? Vivek Ramaswamy is floated as a possible Senate replacement for J.D. Vance in Ohio. Wouldn't that be powerful? Wouldn't that be interesting? Because J.D. Vance has to obviously step away from the old Senate gig, which going to suck. Maybe that's where we lose Menendez, and maybe that's why there's this easy, quick shift. But I think we're allowed to put someone in, and maybe they are with Menendez too. They probably are. They're probably allowed to put somebody in that's a Democrat for now until they have a special election. Whatever the case is, that special election. Well, it's probably too late for a special election now that I say all that. So all these, I think they're going to have to put in replacements till the end of the term. So my whole original thing where maybe we end up with a majority might not be true unless, which could still happen, one of the Dems decides to switch over to the other side or go independent like a couple have already. So we'll see, again, how these things continue to play out. I think it was Manchin, and there was another person that stepped away. And you've got, who's Cousin It? What the hell's the dude, the guy from, the bald dude that wears the jumpsuit, the hoodie? Drawing a blank on his dude's name, but yeah, that guy too. Like, at some point, he's likely going to come independent. As much as he hates to admit it, it's probably going to happen. John Harold put this out. I was going to play this. I listened to the whole thing. This is RFK Jr. They were recording the phone call that Trump made with them, and RFK Jr. kind of played it down like, oops, it was an accident. I had somebody over filming at the time. But when you watch the video, it's like kind of bumpy and shitty. So it's not a professional videographer by any stretch. So it's probably his family or somebody was recording this call. He probably said, dude, flip on your phone. Whatever the case is, it's crap recording. But it talks about Trump, and the part that jumped out at me, it was like a 2-minute long thing. The part that jumped out at me was this one sentence. That's why I backed away from it. But John Harold nailed it, bringing it out. So thank you, John. Love this dude. I love John, by the way. I love him a lot. I've had him on my show way back when he first came out, and he's just become a rock star. The dude's like fabulously more famous than I am. But he's also got my good friend Alpha over there doing great work. So again, I got a lot of love for the Badlands Media Group. And I don't want to be a part of you guys. Don't, not like that at all. I love you, though. I love all of you, a bunch. All said. Trump to RFK Jr., this is what Trump said. And this is weird. I would love you to do so. And I think it would be good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win. We're going to win. We're way ahead of the guy. We're going to win. We're gonna win. That word means you and I. You're in a conversation with me right now, and you and I are gonna win. Now, he was talking about the vaccine, talking about how the doses are too large, how they need to bring it down, and I think he was trying to get RFK Jr. to kind of come at it from that angle a little bit, and you're like, dude, we're gonna nail this. But nothing to the effect of RFK Jr. is gonna do anything other than maybe he gets the Democratic nomination. Maybe. I mean, he really is probably one of the best contenders they have, but they've jacked him every possible way they could. Almost like Bernie Sanders, except Bernie Sanders doesn't hold a candle to RFK Jr. Bernie Sanders is retarded compared to RFK Jr. Damn, I'm long already. We've still got a lot. I'll shut up. Alleged Trump shooter spotted by law enforcement nearly 30 minutes before shots fired. We got a whole bunch of information that's coming out around people that have talked to him. We had phone calls. We had a dude that saw him with the looking at the buildings. That was a sniper, like he was tripping. We had another guy that literally poked his head up and he pointed his gun at him and he scooped back down. Whole bunch of shit happened before Trump ever got shot at. The other big question, why? Why didn't Secret Service bring down Trump earlier until they established and figured out what the shit this dude on the roof was doing? 30 plus minutes. People were calling it out. We've had video of that. I've shared all this stuff. Insanity. Sean Davis shared this. Secret Service had snipers inside the building the assassin used. They took pictures of him. They have pictures of him. They watched him pull out a rangefinder to get his exact distance to Trump. They radioed the Secret Service command post about the assassin. They all knew he was there. Who gave the order to do nothing until after the assassin shot Trump, killed an innocent man on stage, and fired round after round after round after round? And it was after round after round after round. I think it would have been closer to true. So yeah, how'd that all happen? Sean Davis posted, Secret Service director says the decision to leave the roof unguarded was deliberate because it was unsafe to have snipers on a sloped roof. Okay, here's the thing I know. First off, sloped roof's kind of fun. Second off, snipers go where they can easily obscure themselves. And with a sloped roof, you can actually get below the field of vision, line of sight, which he did numerous times. There was a time where all the people were talking about it. They're like, hey, there he is, there he is. And they were kind of closer to him. They had a shit angle, and you could see him move. And then he went back prone, and you couldn't see him anymore. Now, other people could because they were further away. We've got countless areas where this happened. Now we've got the Secret Service saying, yeah, we didn't worry about this elevated position that had a direct line of sight to the stage. Bullshit. No. I mean, the leadership, yes. Now, am I saying it's the leader herself? No, she would have layers beneath her. She would have put it into somebody else's hands and made it their thing. But, yeah, because it's plausible deniability always. Always. All right, here's Tucker Carlson. Here's Jesse Waters doing an amazing job. I'm going to play it at 1.2 speed because it's friggin' 8 minutes long, and I'm so long already. But it's awesome. And he covers this whole shooting thing very well. Very well. Excellent job. I've covered it over a couple days. He actually did 8 minutes and really breaks it down concisely and covers everything I've already mentioned. I've mentioned all this shit, but Jesse does a great job on it. I think it's worth the watch.
Fox News alert, Donald Trump is expected to walk the stage of the Republican National Convention just later tonight. It'll be the first time we see the president since he dodged a bullet. 45, freshly wounded, will soon bask in ovations in a scene that'll probably bring many Americans to tears. Donald Trump officially secured the nomination today in Milwaukee and named his VP.
Delegates and alternates, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce that Senator J.D. Vance has the overwhelming support of this convention to be the next Vice President of the United States.
I formally declare President Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance as the Republican nominees for President and Vice President of the United States.
We'll have a full breakdown of Vance later on in the show, but Trump told Fox it's a very important position, especially if something bad should happen. And this weekend, it nearly did. The former president telling the Post his doctors called it a miracle and, quote, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be dead. Trump thanking God he's still alive and said he wanted to keep speaking, but I just got shot. And he calls the picture of him bloodied with his fist raised the most iconic photo ever seen. Usually, you have to die to have an iconic picture. The reality is just setting in, and Trump's humbled. He ripped up and rewrote his acceptance speech to focus on peace and love. Brushes with death change you. Trump understands he had an angel on his shoulder, and the country feels blessed. But we still have a lot of questions. And the feds, possibly on purpose, are making this more confusing. Even though NBC reports that the Secret Service had flagged that white-roofed building as a security vulnerability, the Secret Service saying tonight that they never swept it. They say they relied on local cops to handle it. This building, the American Glass Research Building, is suspicious. ABC reporting that a local police tactical team was using the building as a staging area to watch the crowd. We're also hearing from ABC that crooks did not use a ladder to reach the roof. So how'd he get up there? Is he Spider-Man? How'd the shooter gain access to a building that local police tactical team was using as a security perch? A CNN report says ABC's wrong. Crooks bought and used the ladder. And if that's true, how did nobody see a man carrying a rifle and a ladder walk to a building that law enforcement was using to guard the president? Sources tell former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino that police were chasing the shooter around before he got near the roof.
Here's another thing I'm hearing from sources, that this subject, they had been monitoring him since he came in around that external perimeter area. The subject was the shooter. They lost track of him, apparently, and he was hiding in a building about 300 yards away.
Law enforcement lost track of the shooter before he shot the president? How would he outrun police carrying a ladder and a rifle anyway? And if he placed the ladder down against the building and then got chased, why didn't cops seize the ladder so he couldn't climb back up? We asked the Secret Service if the shooter was chased by law enforcement, and they told us they, quote, believe local police had interactions with the subject. But local police are pushing back. They say their job was just traffic duty. Pennsylvania State Police telling us they weren't responsible for securing the building or property. So the Secret Service is pointing their fingers at the locals, and the locals are pointing their fingers back. You have a loose kook with an AR 130 yards from a former president, cat and mousing cops while Trump was allowed to remain on stage. Why was Trump still allowed on stage if there was an active manhunt underway for an armed threat? ABC reports that police were looking up at the roof of the building a full minute before shots rang out. But just breaking tonight, a local Pennsylvania station is reporting that local law enforcement spotted crooks on the ground acting suspicious nearly a half an hour before the shooting. And they called it in. And another officer spotted him nearly a half an hour before the shooting, took a picture of him, and also called it in. Why wasn't any action taken? And later, people at the rally flagged crooks on the roof. This was such a colossal security failure that many people are wondering if this was sabotage. Was somebody on the inside compromised? There's no evidence of that, but the way the agencies are handling this investigation is unacceptable. We're learning more details about the shooter. Reports say he had a transmitter strapped to his body and a receiver hooked up to explosives in the trunk of his car. He was trying to trigger an explosion as a distraction, maybe, before taking a shot. He purchased 50 rounds of ammo just before opening fire, just hours, and lied to his dad that he was going to the gun range that day. Finally, the FBI gained access to his phone, they say, but the Bureau says they don't have a motive, which doesn't track. Every one of these assassins or mass shooters have ideologies. They have digital footprints, and they want to be infamous. How is Crooks a ghost? The FBI couldn't find the motive of the Vegas shooter, the deadliest shooting in U.S. history, never zeroed in on the Gen 6 pipe bomber, manufactured the Russia hoax, even doctored a warrant to spy on Trump. This is the same FBI who cooked up the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot and had informants involved with the Pulse nightclub shooting. The Pittsburgh FBI field office is running point on this investigation. Just happens to be the same field office that buried the Biden bribery tip in Ukraine. FBI Director Chris Wray won't resign, but Trump will probably fire him when he's reelected. But will Biden fire Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle?
Yes, I do.
Do you still have faith in the Secret Service, Mr. President?
Yes, I do.
Biden hasn't fired anybody. Why would he start now? But Cheadle says the buck stops with her.
What was your reaction when you saw the events unfold on Saturday?
Shock, and then concern, obviously, for the former president. This is an event that should have never happened.
Who is most responsible for this happening?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
So the buck stops with you?
The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service. It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again.
Oh, so she'll resign, right?
The President and Homeland Security Secretary said today they had 100% confidence in you, but there are some members of Congress calling on you to resign.
I appreciate the Secretary's comments, and we're going to continue to be transparent and communicate with people.
Do you plan to stay on? Absolutely.
I do plan to stay on.
That's Washington. You say the right things, but you don't do the right thing. We were seconds away from a live execution of a presidential frontrunner, and the Secret Service director isn't being fired, isn't resigning, and promises it won't happen again. How do we know her internal investigation isn't going to be a cover-up? This woman destroyed her texts from Jan 6th and blew up the White House cocaine. Congressional Republicans are calling for a House Select Committee on the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Take this out of the hands of the feds and conduct hearings under oath on live television. Bring in the counter snipers, bring in Cheadle, bring in Crooks' pop. Primetime promises you we will never let them cover this up.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with that as well. We are not planning on letting any of this get covered up, but we are. Well, it's been a battle, right? I mean, I think you guys get it. You get the big picture. I don't need to tell you. Secret Service has delayed congressional briefing on former President Donald Trump's near assassination because Director Kimberly Cheadle is apparently at the Republican National Convention, trying to make everybody feel safer about stuff, by being there, because that, you did so good on the rally. Let's put you someplace else directly and really make us wonder. Oversight Committee's going to be having a little bit of a list with her. They got a giant list of shit she's got to bring, including communications between the agents, by the way. That was the one that jumped out at me most. There's probably others that are super significant, but did someone say permission to take the shot, ma'am? Like, did that happen? Because we've heard that. That was a 4chan post. We don't know if it's true. Don't know what's true, frankly. But we're pretty sure that Biden's Secret Service, that's why he trusts him. He's like, dude, Deep State's not trying to kill me, so he thinks. Wink, wink, Biden. Good. Be careful, buddy. Be careful. I wouldn't have that level of confidence. Your party hates your ass right now, and you don't even know it, too. You're too stupid to even get it. You don't realize how much danger you're in. Trump at least gets it. He knows he's in danger, but he thought he had people he could trust at the helm. Probably has questions now. Expansive request for records from Secret Service in advance of the director July 22nd testimony about the attempted assassination. So all sorts of just interesting stuff they want, but all internal documents and communications, including text messages and email communications. This is huge, huge, big stuff they're going for. course, one of the most famous pictures ever, probably. I wonder if they'll put red streaks on the face on Mount Rushmore. I hope not. I hope he's not remembered for this. I hope he's remembered for all the other things. But the nation's largest police group on Monday night blasted the Secret Service for trying to shift the blame for the weekend assassination. And that's been the thing. The Secret Service is like, well, it's the local police's fault. It was all in the area, what do they call it? Anyway, it's the partition between. It's them. It was them. That's the most insane thing. The job of the Secret Service is to protect the president. So any failure that occurred is 100% your fault. There's no sharing that blame with DHS or local police. No, Cheeto, this is 100% you. 100%. And we know your background. We know you're definitely a deep state person. You protected Dick Cheney on 9/11, and you were a PepsiCo's security expert. Yeah, you're definitely a deep state. Unquestionable. Unquestionable. You did a favor for your friends. That's what happened there. Independent RFK Jr. has finally been granted Secret Service, finally, after other people got shot. So at least we probably won't lose one more Kennedy. Here's the thing I alluded to earlier, and I think this is powerfully, powerfully powerful. It is extraordinarily powerfully powerful in an awesomistic kind of way, just to make up extra words. So apparently, the cops showed up to Crook's dad's house, which is where Crook lived. His dad's 53 years old. What else is interesting about his father, other than the fact that he's, looks decent, I guess, for his age? So speaking to CNN in the immediate aftermath of the son's identification, Matthew, 53, who works as a licensed behavioral therapist, specializing in rehabilitation. Bum, bum, bum. Did we just find our smoking gun? I think so. He is a licensed behavioral therapist. Look up MK Ultra. They stopped calling it that eons ago. It was like in the 50s or 60s when they were doing the MK Ultra stuff. Maybe 70s, but I think it was way earlier than that. MK Ultra, messing with people's minds. Then again, watch the movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson. You will learn about it. There was another ninja movie with the dude from Zombieland that was in it. It was weird seeing him as an action star, but that was an extremely good movie showing you how MK Ultra works today. I would highly recommend a bunch of those movies. Like, understand this concept. This is a smoking gun. Licensed behavioral therapist specializing in rehabilitation. I mean, the question would be, did he have access to drugs? If not, who's he close to and who was feeding him information to do with the son? And he was probably getting money for it or something, whatever the case is. I'm speculating. I don't know. I'm alleging all this. I don't know any of this for sure. But this is super suspicious. FBI has accessed Crook's phone, but they haven't figured out or found anything that would suggest why he was doing this. Makes no sense. Told his dad he was going to go shooting on the morning that he went shooting, which he did. He didn't lie to his dad. He told his dad the absolute truth. He didn't go to the range, but he went shooting. That's for sure. All said. Here we are. And maybe the dad wanted to plead ignorance. Maybe he knew it was happening this day. Don't know. Don't know for sure how exactly that happens. Grief-stricken widow of Corey Compertor. He was killed by the sniper. You guys know that guy. He was the one that got shot in the head. It's really, really sad. His wife refused to take the phone call from Biden. Take that as you will. I mean, it's interesting. If the president was going to call me for something like this, I wonder if I would take the call from him. But then again, if I, in my mind, realized he probably had more to do with it than not, yeah, I'd probably be like, I don't want to talk to that piece of I don't want to talk to him. One of the critically injured victims caught in the crossfire of Saturday's assassination attempt, James Copenhaver. He's a 74-year-old retired grandpa and registered Democrat, but he was here. He's a Democrat, but he's kind of pro. But again, this shows that people changing over to the other side, and the fact that he got shot by someone that hates Trump so much, whatever the case is, he's gonna survive. So despite his party affiliation, Copenhaver shared many pro-Trump posts on social media as of late. And the other injured victim, we've got some news on. One of the men injured in Saturday's shooting, 57-year-old David Dutch, was shot on the chest and liver, according to Marine Corps League of Pennsylvania. Dutch is no longer in a medically induced coma and has been upgraded from critical to stable condition. So God took one from us, and he saved the other two, it seems, at least so far. Hopefully that is how it continues. MyPillow.com/OTF. Just remember that coupon code OTF, no matter what. How you get there is, this just makes it easier when you put in what I say, /OTF. It just fills out the promo code for you, or you can just type it in here yourself. But it also gives you a phone number that's specifically my page, all that. Whatever the case is, amazing pricing. They've got the employee pricing sale going on. You don't want to miss this. $19.98. You want to, what all's in here? Let's check it out. Oh my God, yeah, the original pillow, the original MyPillow, $19.98. I love this pillow. This is why I started selling MyPillow. It is the first thing I bought from MyPillow. It made me fall in love with MyPillow, which hence the name. It is. I absolutely love this pillow. Love it. It is the greatest pillow ever. I am ordering. I keep forgetting. I need to do it today, tomorrow. I got to get this done. Going to take advantage of the sale too. It'd be rad. But get a couple more of these pillows. These pillows are awesome. They're just easier. They're easier fill. They're just different. There's only like 2 variants, I remember, if I remember correctly. I feel like there's 4 with the other pillow. And again, I love the other pillow. I got a bunch of them. And I bought them all, just like you guys. The same. I use my own code, by the way, when I buy this stuff. I get the same exact price you get. But, it's fun, right? They got the towels, $25. They've got toppers. They've got the best toppers, too. They've got so many. They got 2-inch. They got 3-inch. They got the new technology. They got toppers all over the place. What this particular one is, I don't know, but it's starting out at $100 for the queen. It's an incredible price. They put $99.98, and that's probably better from a standpoint of marketing, because your mind would be like, dude, it's not even $100. It's less than $100. I should say under $100, you can get a topper, right? So there you go. That's how you do that cheat stuff. Oh, they got socks. Look at that. Yeah, the long socks too. They're probably the super awesome cotton too. Smooth toe socks. I'll probably get some of those actually while I'm taking advantage of the pillow thing. I'm probably gonna try out their socks. I'm very curious. I don't like the little ones. Some of you do probably. I don't know. I don't like them super high either, but I'll just push them down. That's what I typically do with my socks. Not that you care. They got blankets of every kind. They got pillows of every kind. They've got these sandals are awesome. $25. You want to jump on this stuff, folks. And they got this amazing coffee, 50% off too. And they send it to you. They've got ground, whole bean, they got your whatever you want, right? The ground, I think, is probably ground for a typical flat bottom filter. For those of you that are really anal when it comes to coffee, like myself. Whatever the case is, it'll work in a cone if you have to. Just deal with it. But all said, it comes typical ground. And they regular whole bean if you want to grind it yourself, then stop making noises, right? Because you can fix this yourself. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. Mypillow.com/OTF. They got the dog beds too. Seriously. You should have one of those in every room the dog's hanging out. That way the dog's got a comfortable place to sit, unless it's always on the couch next to you or in the bed next to you. Then, yeah, you probably don't need an extra bed. But for those of you that have your animals sleep on the floor, they usually want to find proximity to you all or a place where they can guard the house, but they can keep watch on you and keep watch on the rest of the house. So then you put a bed right there so they can be comfortable and fall asleep on their watch. I'm just kidding. Those dogs, nothing gets past them. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. Mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you have ever had in your life. I'm telling you, folks. Donald Trump could use Monday's bombshell ruling tossing the Florida documents case against him to also get his election interference case dismissed as well. There's another one that Jack Smith is involved in that's directly in D.C. They're kind of going after that angle. Now, we do know that Special Counsel Jack Smith is appealing the Judge Cannon dropping this case, dismissing it. He's appealing it. We'll see where that goes. I mean, it might go all the way to the Supreme Court. I'm kind of figuring it will. But at this point, and for how long it's going to take, it may be delayed so badly that it won't matter, because Jack Smith's, they're not going to get it before the election, which is what they needed and wanted. Trump campaign sues Michigan Governor Whitmer over her new voter registration sites. Sweet contends that the Democratic governor and Secretary of State are improperly using some federal offices as voter registration sites. They are questioning the legalities of what she's doing, using, I think, federal money to do some stuff for local elections. I don't know, whatever. They're fighting it. These papers were filed in the federal court in Michigan very recently, and so we shall hopefully see where that gets us going. Also, a judge presiding over the Young Thugs trial, YSL, I don't know, Young Thug. This is the one that the judge had a secret meeting with the prosecution and didn't invite the defense attorney, but the defense attorney found out about it and asked questions about it. And then the judge, instead of actually dealing with it, said, "How'd you find out?" And when the guy said, "I'm not telling you," the judge was like, "Well, I'm going to put you in jail." And the guy's like, "All right." And so they were going to put him in jail. Someone intervened and kept him from going to jail. Well, yeah, this guy's been kicked off the case. Deep State's been taken down in major ways. Let's keep that in mind, guys. Things are going really, really well. All right, just one thing really with the war stuff. Ukraine is asking for 25 Patriot air defense systems. That's a lot, by the way. Very expensive. And they're asking for more F-16 warplanes, which is also insane. It took forever to get the ones they got, and we're giving them from other countries for that matter. I think probably promising them new ones because it was the only way to get them Euro-fitted without spending a bunch of time. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. So anywho, yeah, they're trying to push through as much money as they can because they're running out of money. We stopped funding them to a large way. They're very, very screwed. Very, very screwed. 9/11 services in parts of California, like many other cities now, came under attack by hackers and has been removed. But yeah, we've got a number of cities that were having to deal with this disruption. And also another hack situation that's going on. Walt Disney suffering a massive hack that leaked unreleased projects and internal Slack messages. Interesting which companies and places are being hacked right now. That's all I can say. To me, it seems like there's a lot of deep state stuff, and then there's some of this like BS hacking that's maybe the bad guys. There's some deep state stuff, but then there's like, I feel like white hat stuff like this, the Walt Disney stuff. How else do you release to the public information that's otherwise hidden? Right? Corporations don't have to live with people asking for, like, you got to tell me the truth. That you're required to do that. And Disney's like, no, we don't. We're a business. We don't have to do that. Government does, yeah. You request a Freedom of Information Act, not with business. So this is a very powerful thing that is happening, it seems, because some of the companies that are getting hammered are not necessarily good companies. Things are changing. Things are changing quickly. They're changing faster than I think some of us can even process, really. Frankly, it's hard. We just have to be aware. You guys are the ones that are making the ripples. You guys are the ones that are actually going to be helping lifting people up. You guys are the ones that are actually conscious of what we're going through. And you can help a lot. And I ask that you do. Please help the best the way you can. Get involved however you can, with whoever you can, in as large a group as you can, whatever the case is. But do your thing, please. It'll help you sleep better at night, I promise you. And it will make an enormous difference in the big picture. A lot more than you probably realize. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.